I've decided to try and get a little bit of ahead of the game, which is a bit of a weird concept when you think about it, because these are arbitrary rules that I set for myself, just sort of going with what would fit correctly into a schedule. And normally it would be tomorrow that I would be setting as my day to do this, but instead I'm doing it today. And well, it's because I have plans for tomorrow morning, which is the morning is when I would usually do these, if I'm doing them at all, because reasons. That's again arbitrary reasons, but I'm now starting to actually pay attention to myself and to the way that I interact with things and the way that I do things, and life on the whole is getting a lot better as a result. I'm realizing this book that I'm reading is helping quite a bit, for one, and it's helping me realize that I have associations with things that don't necessarily have logical reasons, and then there are sometimes things that have happened that are tied to those associations, and as such can have adverse reactions. Um, the way the book is explaining it is that the amygdala basically overwrites the cortex. The cortex is the logical area of the brain. I am a largely logical person most of the time until I am overcome with things like anxiety. So, if we are able to then more closely pay attention to things and figure out what it is that is causing the effect, and then sit in the effect and realize that I'm not dying, and also try and reverse the effect at its source, then there is a chance that I will be able to grow and also overcome this effect. And in so doing, grow as a human, grow as a person, and interact better with the rest of the world. If I'm not afraid of the world, then I can function in it better and flow within it, as it were. Um, and then I still find myself looking for additional challenges along the way. Uh, I feel that this might be a modal method of thinking where people try and overload themselves with whatever burdens they can carry, and that's pretty normal. And the way that I am right now, I'm always finding ways to challenge myself, whether they be things that I do or don't have control over. I'm always trying to look for something else to do. So, my current thing that I'm trying to challenge myself with is basically um, chemical. So, I've got since the the what's it called? The amygdala things are mostly outside of my control currently. The thing I do have control over is my intake. So if you overload yourself on caffeine on purpose and then sit back and see what happens. Interestingly enough, I have been up to 3 doses of caffeine within a day over the last couple of days, and recently, yesterday, I started my day by not having any for the first 4 hours, and I felt the best that I felt in a long time from doing that. And then I realized that it's mostly mind over matter. It's mostly I'm thinking that there are things going on that there aren't. I'm associating the oh, I have a headache with oh, I have, the desire to drink this caffeine. But really, it's I just have a headache, and it could be from anything. And then, even to the contrary, the lack of the caffeine is making me not have a headache. So you could almost say that it's the opposite. The caffeine is giving me the headache. And yet, we still try and search for things like that to challenge ourselves with. We try and find ways to further our position, as it were. The more I am able to take on, the more I am able to strengthen myself. And I'm just barely starting to learn things that I should have probably learned years ago, but I also don't know that I was in the right headspace for it. So now I'm finally, I guess, making myself learn the things that I should have done.